Wars do not always begin with gunfire. Sometimes they begin with silence. No explosions, no sirens, just ships that stop arriving, planes that quietly reroute, systems that begin to fail one by one. In the modern world, power is no longer measured only by how much territory you can take. If China were to move against Taiwan, it would likely not begin with an invasion. There would be no beaches stormed, no paratroopers descending from the sky, no tanks rolling off landing craft. Instead, it would begin quietly, gradually, and deliberately, far from the island itself. In modern warfare, power is no longer measured only by how much territory can be taken. It is measured by how effectively access can be denied. Food, fuel, trade, data, air travel, maritime shipping, all of it depends on uninterrupted movement. And when that movement stops, pressure builds quickly. A blockade is not designed to shock the world in a single moment. It is designed to exhaust it over time. This is not a forecast. It is an analysis of how such a blockade would work, step by step, using naval choke points, missile threat zones, airspace control, cyber pressure, and strategic ambiguity. To understand this scenario, we must first understand why a blockade makes sense at all. Taiwan sits just over 100 kilometers from mainland China, separated by the Taiwan Strait. That short distance hides enormous military complexity. Amphibious invasions are among the most difficult operations any military can attempt. They require absolute air superiority, uncontested sea control, favorable weather, precise timing, and immense logistical coordination. Taiwan's terrain is mountainous, its coastline limited, and its defenses layered and modern. Any invasion would carry extreme risk and unpredictable consequences. A blockade, however, avoids many of those risks. Rather than seizing territory, the objective becomes isolation. Rather than defeating Taiwan's military outright, the goal becomes cutting Taiwan off from the systems it depends on to function. Taiwan imports over 90% of its energy. It imports much of its food. Nearly all raw materials arrive by sea. Its economy depends on constant maritime and air traffic. Interrupt those flows, and the effects are felt not in months, but in days. A blockade does not need to collapse Taiwan immediately. It only needs to slow time until pressure accumulates. Before a single ship moves, the environment would be shaped. Modern military operations begin with narratives. They begin with legal framing, diplomatic language, and strategic ambiguity. Phase 1. Strategic shaping and information warfare. China would likely announce large-scale military exercises, maritime safety zones, or customs inspections around Taiwan. Official statements would emphasize sovereignty, security, and stability. The language would be carefully chosen, not war, not escalation, but enforcement and prevention. This ambiguity matters. When a situation does not clearly meet the threshold of war, responses slow down. Governments debate. Alliances consult. Markets react faster than militaries ever could. Shipping companies begin recalculating routes. Insurers raise premiums or withdraw coverage. Airlines quietly reroute flights. Ports slow operations. Trade begins to hesitate. The blockade starts before it is ever declared. Phase 2. Naval control and choke point dominance. Taiwan's greatest vulnerability lies at sea. Over 99% of its trade moves by ship. Container vessels, bulk carriers, energy tankers, all must pass through narrow maritime corridors to reach the island. China would not need to encircle Taiwan completely. It would only need to control key access points. To the north lies the Miyako Strait, a narrow passage between Japanese islands. To the south lies the Bashi Channel, connecting the South China Sea to the Pacific. To the west lies the Taiwan Strait itself. These are natural choke points, unavoidable routes where traffic concentrates. By positioning naval forces near these corridors, China could monitor, shadow, and pressure shipping without intercepting every vessel. The presence would be layered. Surface combatants, such as destroyers and frigates, would operate openly. Submarines would patrol unseen beneath the surface. Coast Guard vessels would provide a law enforcement appearance. Maritime militia ships would blur the line between civilian and military. The objective would not be mass seizure. It would be constant observation and selective interference. When shipping companies believe their vessels may be delayed, boarded, or placed at risk, they stop coming. No missile has to be fired. No ship has to be sunk. Trade collapses under uncertainty. Phase 3. Missile zones and anti-access warfare. China's most powerful blockade tool, however, never touches the water. It launches from land. Over the past 2 decades, China has built one of the world's most extensive missile forces. Anti-ship ballistic missiles, long-range cruise missiles, hypersonic glide vehicles, and rocket artillery form the backbone of its anti-access strategy. These weapons create invisible barriers, virtual exclusion zones where ships and aircraft are technically free to travel, but practically endangered. Once missile ranges overlap shipping lanes, the calculus changes. Ports become liabilities. Anchorage zones become targets. Every vessel becomes a potential risk. Insurance markets react instantly. Without insurance, shipping stops. The blockade tightens without a single act of open violence. Phase 4. Airspace denial. Airspace control follows the same logic. Taiwan's economy relies heavily on air travel for high-value cargo, technology exports, and passenger movement. Restricting airspace does not require dogfights or shoot-downs. It requires presence, radar coverage, and layered air defense. Fighter patrols, early warning aircraft, long-range surface-to-air missiles, and radar networks extending deep into surrounding airspace would make flight planning increasingly dangerous. Airlines do not take risks with passenger safety. When airspace becomes unpredictable, flights reroute or cancel themselves. The skies grow quiet. Phase 5. Cyber, space, and economic pressure. Modern blockades extend beyond physical domains. Cyber operations would likely accompany any attempt at isolation. Ports depend on digital systems for scheduling, tracking, and customs processing. Energy grids rely on automated control networks. Banking systems require constant data flow. Disruptions do not need to be permanent. Temporary outages, delays, and malfunctions are enough to compound stress. Space plays a critical role as well. Satellites guide navigation, communications, weather forecasting, intelligence, and targeting. Jamming or spoofing satellite signals introduces confusion without visible escalation. Each layer alone creates inconvenience. Together, they create pressure. International response and escalation. As days pass, stockpiles shrink. Energy reserves decline. Manufacturing slows. Public anxiety rises. Political decisions become harder. A blockade forces the international community into a dilemma. Breaking it risks direct confrontation between major powers. Accepting it reshapes global norms and supply chains. Every day the blockade holds, the cost of reversing it increases. The longer it continues, the more normalized it becomes. This is the power of gradual pressure. Not shock and awe, but patience and control. A Taiwan blockade would not resemble the wars of the past. There would be no clear front lines, no formal declarations, no single decisive battle. It would be a campaign of denial, of access restricted, movement slowed, systems strained, and choices narrowed. This is how modern military power is applied in the 21st century. Not always through destruction, but through control. This is how it would work.